What's up, guys? Philip at Trade Genius. All right, so like the title says, Litecoin's price action right now is the equivalent of what Bitcoin should be at $6,000. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at why I'm saying that, take a look at the price action, take a look at where we're at now in relation to the halving event coming up in August and what that means and how price was affected on the last halving event. So let's dive into this video.
Trade Genius.
Guys, again, just showing you guys what we do in the room. This was a trade we closed a couple days ago on ENJ BTC. Really nice gainer, hit our target of 26%. So if you're interested in getting into the room with us, and we're doing this, we're also doing binary options and stocks and ETFs. So we got a lot of things covered, very busy rooms. You can get our spring specials, head over to tradelikeagenius.com. And our room access right now for a year is $3.99. As far as what you get for that for 12 months, you're going to be hard pressed to find anything that comes close to that value. So check that out, guys. Again, tradelikeagenius.com, spring special number 1. All right, let's dive into this Litecoin stuff. Okay, so why does Litecoin equate to Bitcoin at $6,000 or so? The reason is because if you noticed, this blue line here is the Bitcoin comparison. So this is a weekly chart of Litecoin, all right? And if you notice where we are with Litecoin currently here at approximately $60 or so, we are getting into the floor that was created. Same with the floor that was created with Bitcoin, but Bitcoin's floor was at 6,200, between 6,100 and 6,200, roughly in there. So that would mean that if we were Bitcoin, we'd actually be pressing up above this floor. This floor currently on Litecoin was $52. So we broke through that. So if this was Bitcoin, we'd be up in the $6,400 area at this point as of today. So that's why Litecoin is doing really well in terms of relative strength to Bitcoin. Bitcoin's lagging. Now, if you notice this area where Bitcoin put in the floor, what Litecoin actually led things lower, and then Bitcoin caught down to it. Now, this situation, because of the halving event coming up, Litecoin is leading up. So I do think Bitcoin will follow up as a result, and Litecoin is probably, we're going to dig into the actual closer short-term stuff now on price and what's going to happen here going into the daily and then the smaller time frames, and then look at how we've behaved heading into the halving event. So next thing we want to do here is look at the halving event. So if we take a look back to August of 2015, okay, this was the last halving event in Litecoin. And if we look, this is a weekly chart now, so if we're looking at 25 weeks out ahead of the halving, what we did was we came up a little bit and then we pulled back, and then we had one really strong, pretty nonstop rally with a blow off top week. Now, if you notice when we're running up to those, and we have a similar situation, we had a price run up prior, we've pulled back, and now we're retracing some of that previous price action. So there's a support and resistance line here at $9.60 or 75 cents, let's call it. And price ran up pretty close to that, got to $9.04. Didn't quite get to that support and resistance, but got in that area. So there is as far as the moves on this, they could be pretty explosive. We're going to take a look at two levels that I think are realistic expectations for this move up. But if we take and just note the move, let's say from 25 weeks out on up, we saw basically from the lows a 767% move. Now, granted, this was talking about Litecoin in the low $1 range up to $9. So that's obviously not the case this time. We got much higher dollar values, so the percentage gains will be less. So let's take a look at where we are today and going into the next halving event. So we've highlighted the same amount of time, 25 weeks out. Notice that we're moving up. If prior history plays out, then what we'd see is probably a pullback of some sort here, and then we move higher. Now, 2015, the trading environment was much more mature than it was, let's say, back in 2012, 2013. But now we've got a lot more participants this time around. So Will it be exactly the same approach or gyrations or ups and downs? I don't think it's going to be exactly the same, but I do think history tends to repeat. The psychology tends to repeat. So I do think we do have a decent chance for a decent move up. A couple areas that I'm looking at, and we're approaching one already, is this $74 area. So this has been an area kind of basically support and resistance over time, and we can actually drag that back over to this close here. But this $74 area, price has reacted to it. It broke through, came back, retested it here, has held support on the weekly there, broke support, came up, retested from the bottom side here. So I do expect this area here around $74 or so to act as some sort of resistance. Now, the next area, if this thing gets really rambunctious like it did in the last previous run up, then I'd be looking at this area here, and this would be in the over $100 range. So you think in terms of round numbers that price is going to react, but a lot of times what will happen, we'll overshoot. For example, around the $50 mark, we came up to it on the weekly on Litecoin, overshot it quite a bit, came back down, came up to it, retested a little bit, and now we firmly broke through it. So they can overshoot. They don't always act as just lines in the sand that don't get passed. So we could see, even though $100 might seem like a spot to short, what ends up happening is people do set up shorts, retail sets up shorts there, and then those stops get hit one last time. You get an overshoot, and then you come back down. So north of 100 would be probably the top side move if this thing got really going, and we had a kind of a blow off top candle on the weekly. Percentage gain wise, that would be looking something like from, let's take a look at from where we are today till now. That would be if we got to 137% from where we started off. This is just comparing to the last window of 25 weeks out, but from the $45 level, that's going to be about 137% from there. So that's I think that kind of move would probably be more realistic than the 700% move that you saw back in 2015, just because of the increase in the value of price. So those are the two levels, guys, I'm looking at that are potentially targets to be hit. I do think that you're going to run into probably a sell or buy the rumor, sell the news type event, which means you're going to buy leading up to the actual event. And then when the actual event happens, you're going to see a bit of a sell-off. I do think that that's going to happen. The previous halving, actually, that took place where we actually peaked out well before the halving. All right. So if you get a blow-off type candle on the weekly like this, that's probably going to be it. And then you're going to, no matter what, after that, you're going to sell off. So the time remaining doesn't really matter too much, but you're probably going to go back and find some support at more defined price levels. So that's what we would be looking for, some kind of blow off price action leading up to the halving event. But again, the halving event's around August, first, second week of August 2019. And again, any kind of blow off move up into these areas would be that's what I'm looking for. You're looking for that blow off move that puts in a top really quickly, and then you're going to come back and find support at higher levels. So like pulling back, let's say we run up to over $100, pulling back to the $55 area would make sense to me. And then we start grinding higher, and then we're going to get into Bitcoin's halving cycle, and everything will follow suit. So anyway, guys, that's it for Litecoin as far as the overall picture. I will real quickly dive into some of the smaller time frame stuff. And if we look at what's going on here with the 4 hour, we do have a bit of a divergence on the 4 hour, and you're in the stochastic RSI starting to roll over. So this move up here, we actually took out a fib level on Litecoin. All right, so let's look at the daily. So I'm gonna show you what happened here and then what you can expect trading this going forward. So if we take a look at, take our fib retracement tool. So at the start of this up move, okay, up to this high here, we basically came up, retraced into the 50% fib retracement zone, and then bounced higher. Now we've hit the fib extension. I use 0.236 as targets for that. We've tagged that, and we also have on the smaller time frames, we have a bearish divergences. So what I'm looking at currently is a couple things. One, you're going to have obviously this level, this high here around 53 is going to be an area of interest as far as dip buyers go. I do think we're in full-on dip buying mode. We do have these volume nodes at 57, 53, and around 50. So those would be, between 53 and 50 are spots of areas of interest. We also take a look at where our support and resistance is. So really briefly, we're just going to go in here with a horizontal line, and we're going to check off these areas that acted as support. And so again, that takes us around 51. And I would look for, if this doesn't hold this 53, then I think we're going to come back and pull down to this level here at 50, 51. So I think those are decent levels to look for as far as support, resistance, holding. As you can see, again, that line has been respected previously with price. So that area I would be looking, if we're going to pull back to that area, that'd be a nice spot to get long. Also, that would then, if this is the high here, and again, we would need to see that confirm on the 4-hour and hourly chart. But if that is the high there, then what I'm going to look for is the fib retracement on that. And where does that give us? And that's going to give us that spot there. So 51 I think is a decent area to look for a bounce, and then we start moving higher, looking for this $74 area to be probably an immediate target over the next couple of weeks. All right, guys, so that's pretty much it on the smaller time frame stuff as far as the current price action. To summarize, I think this move is getting tired. I think we do have a chance to pull back $51 to $53 area, and then a move higher, ultimately looking to tag that 74 area. If the 74 area gets resistance, pulls back, and then attacks it again and breaks through, I think that opens the door for north of 100. All right, guys, that's it for Litecoin. Appreciate you guys watching the video. Please hit like and subscribe. Again, check us out at tradelikeagenius.com if you're interested in joining us in the room. And I will see you on the next video. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Trade Genius.